Hi, my name is Carolyn Schwartz, and I decided to conduct research on the Black Gangster Disciples. The purpose of this presentation is to examine the structure as well as the evolution of the gang. Also, how does that gang fit into some of these sociological theories, both at a macro and a micro level? And finally, I chose this gang because they were very prominent where I grew up, outside in Chicago suburbs. And I really wanted to know more about their history because I only knew outside looking in. So who are the Black Gangster Disciples? There is some discrepancies on their origin, but essentially it was a merging of two large gangs, the Disciple Nation and the Gangster Nation. David Barksdale was the president of the Disciple Nation, and Larry Hoover was the president of the Gangster Nation, both of which had multiple branches of local gangs underneath them at the time. They decided to merge for reasons of power and protection. And after Barksdale's death, Larry Hoover took over. As I mentioned, it is a Chicago-based gang. The most common colors that they associate with are black, blue, white, and silver. And you can kind of see the picture here. Their symbol, a lot of times there'll be different parts added on to it, but at the root of it is the Star of David with those upturned pitchforks. You can see a map here of Chicago. All the blue is where their territory is, so you can kind of see that they're definitely a dominant gang in the area. The average range for participants' age is between 12 and 25 years old. They generally recruit disadvantaged youth by luring them with money and power, and this is achieved by working in shifts. So they'll recruit some of the younger members to work in shifts, and they'll be holding firearms, so it gives them that feeling of power. Drug trafficking is the main form of monetary income, and specifically crack and cocaine. They do run local businesses to launder cash. Some of these businesses might include car washes, paging services, bars, or even local concerts. So this gang has a very structured hierarchy. We talked a little bit about Larry Hoover being one of the founding members. He's currently serving multiple life sentences in prison, and he actually still continues to run the gang on the street while in prison. And then next there is the little hierarchy. The king is at the top, and then you have the board of directors, generals, first captains, and members, also called foot soldiers. At the top, it's been stated that there are two board directors who divide the responsibility. One board director is for operations in the street, and then one board director is for operations within prison. They do have a strict structure with strict rules that they must abide by. It can be hard to decipher the different positions because even through interviews within journals, different members had different things to say about their structure and their hierarchy. Some of the allies of the Black Gangster Disciples include the Folk Nation, Spanish Cobras, Maniac Disciples, and Brothers of the Struggle. Some rivals include the Crips, Latin Kings, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and the Vice Lords. The criminological theories utilized in this situation, I think, would be the social disorganization, because they did originate in the inner city of Chicago, and they were very prominent in an area called Cabrini Green, which was the high-rise public housing, also known as the projects. They were in a poor community, and they were left with poor schooling, as well as a lack of social structures and opportunities, such as after-school activities or sports. Also, this gang applies to the multiple marginality theory, with obviously there's definitely a history of repression and racism. And there's also strains, we did discuss the poor communities, but also within the ghetto living kind of presents its own types of strains. So now the gang has kind of evolved. The Black gangster disciples separated in some areas. And there's a lot of intergang violence that was erupted in the 90s. And a lot of the gang members split. So a lot of them dropped the B in the Black gangster disciples and they just go by GDs or gangster disciples. Now, Mr. Hoover has presented a proposal. He wants them to be called growth and development. It was a proposal that he made to a parole board. However, his parole was denied, but he's still trying to move on with the growth and development as a form of community activism. And you can see here that some of the members have even begun to run for local office. There haven't been any that have won, but they're definitely trying to re-image themselves. The gangster disciples have evolved a lot from their beginnings, as they started as two large groups of street gangs who merged and united, and then they fell into themselves and kind of collapsed to intergang violence, which severed many relationships as well as alliances. Now they're currently under another evolutionary process phase of growth and development. So it'll definitely be interesting to see where we are now and how Mr. Larry Hoover continues to run the gang. And these are my references. Thank you.